Alrighty.
Welcome everyone to our first meeting for the Tourism State Marine Board for 2025. We'll do a quick roll call here for the city. We have Travis and Alana with Tara joining us online. Online, we also have for the board Tracy, Richard, and Jeff. And in City Hall here, we have Melissa, Nick, Dawn, Lawrence, Kevin, and myself. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from the December 17th, 2024 meeting? Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, if not, I will ask for a mover for approval of those minutes. Okay, Nick and Dawn as a seconder, all in favor? Okay. There was no declarations for today's meeting, Alana? Nope. Okay. So Travis, I will turn it over to you for kicking off our tourism overview and update.
Thanks, Beverly. Lana and I are going to split this one. I'll just touch briefly on mat collection. So we're trending pretty well. We're at 1,751,000. And it looks like if we continue on trends set for previous years, for December, we should be at about 1.8 by the end of the year. So that's good news. Some other exciting news, our bridge for Wishart Park shows up on Thursday. So we've got two trucks coming in, one 70-footer and one 60-footer. So they'll be offloaded at site. It's a real bridge. I've even seen pictures of it. So it's pretty exciting. I think Alana and I have been working on this since 2019. So we were very excited to
seems long, doesn't it?
We're gonna go hug that bridge.
Yeah. Already ordered champagne and a bunch of scotch.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very excited about that. Looks like installation will occur in February. And everything will go quite well. We're kind of into the final weeks of prep for the Frozen Toe Fat Bike race. So we've got a 50K, 25 and a 10, just hammering out last minute route selection and kind of consistent grooming for that. The other one that's currently in prep is the Sioux 200. That's the 200-mile running race. So we're working with them to kind of assist on the final steps of the kind of race course routing. And I was surprised, but 19 people from Ontario have registered already. I didn't think there would be 19 people in Ontario that would race 200 miles, but looks like that, and 2 people from the Sioux.
You don't think you guys do?
Yeah.
Combined.
All 19 of them are gonna stop each someone.
So they haven't truly started marketing yet, so I think the numbers they're expecting to grow in the short period here. But
What's the date for that event?
it is it ends on the 26th of July.
It's July.
Yeah,
July.
end of July. So yeah, that's very exciting. And Alana, I'll let you touch on Sioux and others.
Okay, a couple quick notes. Just a reminder that Sioux Winter Carnival is coming up February 7th to 15th. Stephanie has been helping support from the tourism side this year, just with we've stepped back a little bit with the idea that we're trying to get the Sioux board up and running. So 2 years we worked very, very closely. This year still involved definitely, but starting to loosen the reins a little bit and turn it over. So we've been involved on the back end, assisting with the events and getting some of the logistics organized and some of the marketing. Everything seems to be on track, ready to go. Opening ceremony start on the 7th. For that. Winter Games, just a quick recap. The bid was submitted on time in December. We're in the wait and see period right now. We should hear back. The anticipated timeline from the ministry was by the end of January to advise of communities that were shortlisted, with site visits coming up February, March. So we haven't heard anything, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know. Just a internal update for you. Josh Ingram has left his position in the sports tourism role. He's moved internally in the city to the plaza supervisor position, so still working in the city, new role, so we are looking to post, well, it's posted, we're looking to fill that position. That job posting closes this Friday. So we're hoping to try and get somebody in and fill that position, because it's a pretty heavy one, with some outstanding work that needs to get done in the sports portfolio, so.
So if you know of anyone that might be interested, let us know. We can share the link for the posting. But yeah, it's due end of day Friday. So, yeah.
And the other one, just, we're working with the train right now to try and look at the GPS triggered commentary, just to see it needs an update, that was done, I think 12 or 13 years ago, and it's starting to get outdated. The technology's long overdue for a refresh, so just working to see what that looks like and what might be involved, to try and get that updated. That's it.
I just realized I glanced over the board applications have been extended. All those that have submitted, you don't have to resubmit, but until January 31st. So just shy one role on the hospitality side. So we're just looking for another applicant there.
I stand corrected. State closes on Thursday.
Before we leave that marketing update or board update or staff update, we had a marketing meeting at the Bush Plain this morning, and what's interesting is they had 486,000 views since January 10th on our water bomber. So there's a huge interest out there as a result of the California fires about water bombing. So just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Alana and Travis. Richard, will you be providing us with a bit of a financial update from the statements of whatever?
I can just briefly. Obviously, is all that revenues in, and no, I guess I don't know the answer to that. Is I think I left Atlanta a message for you. I believe in December we paid $249,000. Most of that's going to be for the trail system, and we probably have, I assume, outstanding reimbursements either from FedNor, the city, etc. on that. But so instead of the loss of 350 that's reflected on there, I'm sure it's quite a bit less than that.
I haven't done the math yet to sort that out, but you're correct.
Okay.
That'll all be offset by well, 100% of those costs are attributed to the Wishart Park project, which claims for.
Yeah, and I think you were saying before, as we're only 20 some odd % of that cost is ours, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And the bank balance, Alana, is roughly?
I can tell you exactly. Give me a second. I didn't bring it with me. I can log in and see you.
And I guess based on Travis's comments, I guess the only other thing I would say is with the mat collections for 2024, we'll probably be adding about $480,000 to $490,000 to the Tourism Development Fund, based on those numbers in the current MOU.
The current bank balance as of today is $611,439 and $12,800 in the US account.
Okay.
Any questions with regards to the financial update?
I guess there's one other issue, and it's not on the agenda, but we did go out for proposals for audit, and what are we going to do with that? Deal with it next board meeting?
Yeah, I have it was just the two applicants that sent in proposals, so we'll probably go with the recommendation that you provided, but I haven't done any of the paperwork or drafted any sort of an agreement up with them yet.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Richard. Travis, over to you for the amendment for the NOHSC committee.
Sure. When we passed the amendment for the Wishart Park application to NOHFC, we goofed and put the event stream as the reference for the NOHFC program that we applied for, when it should have been community enhancement. So essentially, the amendment is just, we need to correct the resolution so it reflects the right program that we applied to. So that's the item that we're proposing to change in the resolution. And I don't know if I have it exactly.
I have it here, I have the resolution.
I know we don't have to pass it right now, but you know, verbatim, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Director authorize an application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation Cultural Support Program Community Event Stream. What it needs to read is, be it resolved, Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors authorize an application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, enhance your community program stream. So straightforward, but just needed to amend that. You want me to jump into the Steel Speed contract?
Go for it.
Okay, so the second item that we have is, we have a proposal in hand with Steel Speed. They would be the group that we are recommending to actually do the installation of the bridge and the abutments. They were the lowest vendor when we went out for competitive bid. The reason why this we're bringing this so close to the date of actually offloading the bridge is because we did a bit of a refinement in terms of the abutment style. We were going to do these concrete called bolt bins, where you actually have like a prefab concrete footing that you just compact with riprap and rock and excavate slightly. Back and forth with the contractor, we decided finally to select a sheet pile abutment, which is actually significantly cheaper. So we were just working back and forth in terms of cost, engineering and production, which is why we are bringing this to the board at this time. We did have this proposal in December. However, with the way that by the time we did the evaluation and the timing of the board meeting, we didn't bring it any sooner. So the price that we were proposing to go with is $571,150 for the installation and abutment work. We are trending well within the pricing that we had identified for this particular scope of work. And I think we're pleasantly surprised where the pricing landed. And assuming all goes well, I can provide an update on budget at next meeting relative to what we estimated. Or make sure that the work is completely done before the full details of where we're landing. But anybody have any questions about this particular scope of work?
Maybe, I know there's, and I'm just assuming, is there like a certain qualification to build a bridge?
So the bridge itself was prefabricated by Algonquin. So the board had previously approved us purchasing the bridge from the fabrication. This work includes basically, you know, showing up in two parts on Thursday. They're going to offload it with a crane. They'll bolt it together, take a big crane, put it into place, and they'll put the sheet piles in for the abutments. So they didn't do the bridge design or any of that work. They're just locking it into place. So
with the change in the abutment, I guess it works fine with the type of bridge we got.
yeah, so we have a separate contract with WSP Engineering. So they design the abutment and work with the bridge manufacturer to confirm that everything is good. So once we know the actual installation date, depending on how busy the site is, we can let the board members know, and if you wanna come see it go in, keep you guys posted on that.
The term the engineering firm said to us was it was comfortably over-designed. Meaning it's very secure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just because if the price was significantly for the installation, you gotta wonder,
Yeah,
are they?
Well,
qualified to do
yeah,
it?
so installation, I guess one of the design of the abutment, certainly saved costs, and the other thing that we're doing. When we were originally looking at it, it was gonna be, well, there was more open water, so they were gonna have to rent. Roughly 100-foot long temporary bridge that they were gonna have to bring in from out of town to put in. But we've been working to, with, the ministry to actually put a snow road across. With a couple of culverts, so that's part of the reason why we're gonna do it in February. So that eliminates the need for the rental bridge.
So we're kind of the only ones that are happy about this very cold weather.
Yeah, yeah.
And Bonson.
Bridge.
There's,
How'd you like that? Right?
yeah, rent a bridge, like.
Yeah.
Rent a bridge.
John doesn't
Live
have
it
a
every
lot
day, I
of
don't believe
confidence.
it.
Okay, any other questions with regards to the new business on the NOHFC funding or the contract still? Okay, excellent, thank you. Travis, I'm assuming it's staying with you for the Sault Ste Club?
Yeah, actually, he just arrived, so I'm just gonna grab him.
Oh.
So we're gonna see the Chamber of Commerce is one, we got a high water where you can try.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You
She
can
has
try
to
out
get
the
her,
lights.
like great new phone, she was only like 2 years old.
That's fine.
It's fine.
So it's like-
It's fine. It's also-
And it's,
Sliding and it's soft.
Well, the next thing is.
Yeah, relationship. It might be.
It's pretty.
We gotta go stop for a while. Bare feet only, bare feet, maybe towards the east floor.
There's trails.
Bare feet only, unless it's own pilot.
Wide enough for saying the relationship.
Yeah, so we've been.
She agreed to polish.
Go from ready for this.
Am I going to run? Am I not supposed to?
I did the crystal for the first time today.
Like
She wanted you?
Sunday?
Same, like we're auditioning, like if she's auditioning,
Saturday?
my brother does.
Saturday, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I-
So I know she
I
wants
was
to
up there, I saw you guys start.
Oh, yeah?
So.
Yeah.
literally,
Me and my girlfriend?
like,
Yeah.
JJ and I went
I thought it was you were wearing, oh, it's this.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But I've been basically just
Run around.
Hinder and Red Pine for the last 2 years, but the crystal, it's fantastic. And when you get to the big Kahuna area, that huge hill that heads down into the turn there. It's like, there's no way I'm doing it. She walked down. It's
Tara, would you mind bringing up the
I'm not going back
presentation?
either, so I just like tried to just walk down the side, but yeah, there's some fun hills on that route, yeah.
80% group.
Hey, Jim, welcome.
Hey, thanks.
Fun to see you.
Down there on the other side of the street, hitting all those snow banks.
Yeah.
So we'll just do a quick introduction. This is Jim Myhel, with the Sault Cycling Club. So he's gonna present today, on the fat bike grooming. Jim, up until yesterday or Sunday, their lead groomer for the Red Pine system. I think
I'll explain.
I'll explain, which is actually relevant to the presentation today.
Yeah.
So, or if we want to, I can't remember how we do this. Everybody do a quick round of introductions for
I'm
context.
not supposed to write.
Yeah,
This was the time,
So-
you should get a job as a waitress.
yeah, exactly.
Your meal.
So, Kevin, maybe I'll let you start off.
Kevin, I'm the general manager. Okay.
Beverly, I'm the GM at the Water Tower.
Okay.
Lawrence, I'm your neighbor.
I,
I'm Don, I'm the GM at Mike Fratello at Super 8.
Hi Jim, Nick from Holiday Inn Express. the
Alright.
GM.
I'm Melissa from the Canal District.
Alana, I work here at City with Travis.
okay, and you constitute the board.
I got a few more screens up here.
Oh, I see, okay.
You, Richard, Tracy, Jeff.
I'm Tracy. I'm representing the Comfort Inn.
Richard Walker with the Bush Plane.
Jeff Locker, Head of Economic Research at Rove. I do business intelligence consulting analytics for DMOs.
That is our board.
Very good. Well, I'm on the cycling club board here to St. Mary, so we're both on boards. I think yours is probably a little bit less relaxed than ours, probably. Pretty laid back board. Is there a device that I can?
Tara will, she'll do everything for you. You don't
Oh,
need it.
great.
Yeah,
Okay, that's cool.
yeah. So
Alright.
just tell her when and she'll move it along for you.
And then, sorry, Jim, I should let you know that this is being broadcast and recorded, so the media or anybody will have access to this stuff.
Okay.
Yes, so,
Keep it clean.
yeah.
Try to do that. Okay. Well, we can go to the first slide, perhaps.
Is Tara able to make it full screen there?
Yeah, maybe we could. Is there a way of making that full screen or?
Sorry, it's full screen on my end. I think it's
Oh, is it?
something
Okay.
to adjust on your end.
All right, I'm just trying to decide which side is
I
better.
think it's view on the top there, Alana. There,
What do you want?
very bottom one.
That's where we are.
Okay, good.
Fixed it
yeah.
perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, very good. So, like I was saying at the beginning, I represent the Sioux Cycling Club. We're a not-for-profit organization with over 600 members, and that makes us one of the largest recreation clubs in St. Marie. Our mandate really is to promote active transportation, active recreation, and cycling events in and around Sault Ste. Marie, and we do that at various venues. Not only on the roads, the paved roads and gravel roads that surround the city, but also at Hiawatha Highlands, Thin Hill, Voyager Trail, and the Hub Trail. And this has evolved into a sort of a 12-month-a-year undertaking. Not only do we offer programming in the summer through things such as kids shredding single track, which is a program designed for kids between the age of 8 and 16, to help them learn mountain biking skills, as well as adult programming and mountain biking and road biking, gravel biking, and road touring. But we're also now, with the advent of fat bikes, we're also heavily involved in winter fat biking. And I don't have any hard facts, but I know anecdotally from discussing with sports store vendors such as at Belarusian and Algoma Bicycle Company, that fat biking is perhaps considered the fastest growing winter sport here, at least in our region. And so we have fat biking, we support winter trail grooming at Hiawatha Highlands through our organization that's entirely volunteer driven. And the trails that we groom are free and open to the public. And our volunteers put in about 45 hours per week. And as I'll get to in a couple of slides, we're currently limited by equipment. The 45 hours that we're putting in a week is concentrated on 2 pieces of equipment, and it tends to make those volunteers who have access to that equipment on the front lines and in a sort of an unsustainable situation. We have a Farmer Lake trail system for anybody who's ever been out there. It's extending out beyond the Yellow Gate at the end of Connor Road, and it takes you out to the north and east of the city, out into some spectacular terrain. There's about 13 kilometers that are currently groomed, and actually, as I speak, that's probably been doubled, I believe, in preparation for an event that's coming up in February. So the 13 kilometers that is being groomed on a regular basis, I would say, is sustainable, but taking advantage of all the mountain biking trails that have been developed recently out at Farmer Lake is not feasible on a sustainable basis just with the one machine. But there is potential for a total of 26 kilometers if we have that additional equipment. The Red Pine Trail system is being groomed currently with what's called a track sled. It's an unusual piece of equipment that we'll talk about later. You get to see some pictures of it in the presentation. It's not a snowmobile, it's smaller, but it's a specialized piece of equipment that's fairly ideally suited for the trails on the Red Pine. And last year we were doing 10 kilometers. This year, we're grooming 19 kilometers with that one piece of equipment, largely by myself. And I would say that that's not sustainable. I'm here virtue of 2 Robaxes that I took about an hour ago. I'm kind of out of commission for the time being as a result of all this. And this trail system, in conjunction with the trails at Hiawatha Highlands, as well as those at Root River, not Root River, but Crimson Ridge Golf Course, are essential for supporting events here in town, such as Frozen Toe, Global Fat Bike Day, Rock the Ridge, and social rides. We can go to the next slide. So I'll just read these. These are essential key points for connection to tourism. Fat biking offers significant tourism benefits, extending the outdoor recreational opportunities into the off-season. It attracts individual travelers and groups seeking unique experiences. It boosts local businesses such as accommodations, restaurants, and equipment rentals. And fat biking leverages existing trail networks, transforming them to year-round assets with minimal additional investment. And as you know, the city's invested considerable dollars recently in the development of mountain bike trails in and around Hiawatha Highlands, as well as at Fit Hill. Events such as the Frozen Toe Fat Bike Festival and the Beaver Freezer Marathon attract visitors from outside the region, increasing overnight stays and fostering repeat visitation. Individual fat biking travelers also contribute to the local economy, spending on equipment rentals, trail access fees, and dining. Additionally, promoting winter fat biking strengthens Sault Ste. Marie's image as a 4-season outdoor adventure hub, encouraging year-round tourism. And finally, it aligns with TSSM's strategic plan by utilizing existing trails to host events and focus on increasing winter visitation. You can go to the next slide. So here's what we are looking at in the local region. We have a sustainable, currently groomed fat bike trail system of about 54 kilometers, and that includes about 14 kilometers at Hiawatha Highlands. That's operated by the commercial arm of the Sioux Finnish Nordic Ski Club. 20 kilometers at Crimson Ridge, and again, that's a pay-per-access trail system groomed by paid staff at Crimson Ridge. There's 13 kilometers at Farmer Lake and about 19 kilometers currently on the Red Pine system. Those latter 2 here are done on a volunteer basis by the Sioux Cycling Club, and again, those trails are free access to members of the public. There's potential for expansion, particularly with the bridge that's going in at Wishart Park. That would open up a trail connection potentially over to the hub trail, and then bring up potential riders from the hub trail system up into the trails at Hiawatha Highlands into the Red Pine system. And we feel we could expand the trail system to about 80 kilometers or more. Farmer Lake is expandable to 26 kilometers on a sustainable basis, provided we get additional equipment. Similarly, the Red Pine is expandable to about 25 kilometers on a sustainable basis, and again, also contingent on availability of additional equipment. Now, those are pretty impressive numbers. Greater than 80 kilometers in our region is, I would say, it marks us as a significant destination. It would, in my reckoning, make us probably the biggest groomed fat bike trail system in Ontario. So if you want to come fat biking in Ontario, this is the place you should do it, particularly since my understanding is nobody else has snow this year. So this is, we're suffering with an abundance of snow, and everybody else is canceling ski races and unable to do outdoor activities such as fat biking because of the lack of snow. This would make us comparable to Marquette, Michigan, which is kind of like a leader in the tourism industry in winter outdoor recreation. So we can do the next slide. So we have some challenges. Equipment downtime is a big one. Every year we always have some piece of equipment breakdown, even though we only have 2 pieces of equipment. We've already had breakdowns on the snow machine that's dedicated for grooming the Farmer Lake Trail system. And we've had a lengthy breakdown on the Red Pine system because of we've had an outage on the Red Pine system because of a breakdown on the snow dog that grooms the Red Pine system. And that's breakdowns are not what you want when you're trying to develop infrastructure that people can rely on, that will gain a reputation as a destination. So that's an issue. There's one item here that I want to really focus on here. Unfortunately, there's no bullet that speaks to it, but it's maybe one of the key messages that I want to make today. And that is you're really limited by equipment and not volunteers. And that's because when you're grooming fat bike trails, you're really working with a defined, confined, constrained grooming window every day. On any given day, you have time constraints such as, well, the fact is most of our volunteers have jobs, and so they have to do this after work hours. There's a constraint put on us by the ski club, who wants us typically to try to work around their grooming schedule so that we don't ruin their cross-country ski tracks when we groom. There's weather events as well. So if you have a shot of snow that's coming through between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., you don't want to go out there at 8 a.m. and groom. You want to wait for the snow to move through. And similarly, if there's a freeze coming through at night, you want to groom just before that freeze happens. So you have to work with the weather. And that means that because you're working with these time constraints, it's not a shortage of volunteers, because no matter how many volunteers you have, those volunteers are going to want to be using the equipment within very limited constrained windows on any given day. So that results in the current challenges that we have certain impacts. Repairs, first of all, can be costly and they can be time consuming. And the problems with repairs, time consuming repairs, particularly in a winter such as this, is that once you start to fall back on the weather, snow starts to accumulate in your trails. It takes a long time to recover the quality of the trails again. Once you have heavy, fresh snow layers to try to deal with, you can't simply compact that. Most of the time, you're not dealing with packable snow. You're trying to move it off the trail, and that takes several days to do that. And so that essentially makes the outage longer than that which is just defined by the breakdown of the equipment. So that impacts the consistency and the reliability of the trail quality. Ultimately, it impacts our reputation as a center of excellence, and it also impacts the reputation of any events that are held at our facilities. And ultimately, I think that would impact repeat visitors and tourism objectives. So that's something to bear in mind here. We can move on to the next slide. So what we would like to do, we'll speak to that in more detail in a minute, is purchase 2 of these units here. This is called a Tinger Dog. It's the generic name for this type of equipment is a track sled. It's basically a small skidoo track powered by something, a motor about the size of an engine you'd find on a snowblower, maybe about 13 horsepower, and all controlled by this handle out back. And that will pull either a toboggan here, behind which you can drag grooming implements, which can be as simple as a tire, an old car tire, or this particular packing pan here. And in all cases, the operator stands either here or here. It's pulled behind the tractor, and the operator tries to manipulate the machine as best he can using this handle here. So these are the specifications. It weighs about 300 pounds. So when it flips over in the snow, it's no fun getting it back on its feet again, but ultimately it's fairly agile, and it's well suited for the narrow, twisty trails that we have, both at Farmer Lake as well as at on the Red Pine system. That's about it. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention is this grooming implement here is expandable, so it can accommodate the very narrow trails that are on the Red Pine system, as well as the wider trails that are on the Farmer Lake system. So it's quite versatile. Next slide, please. So this is what we would like to propose, a timeline of purchase of two Tinker dogs with grooming implements by the end of this month. Total price for both machines plus the implements, including taxes and delivery, is $20,400. The cycling club is proposing to co-fund about 25% of that, or $5,000. And the goals that we would try to achieve by the purchase of this new equipment is to establish the largest groomed fat bike trail network in Ontario. It would increase the scope of the groomed fat bike trail system fairly considerably. Would increase the quality and reliability of our trail system by providing redundancy in grooming equipment. Currently, if we have one piece of grooming equipment out, that means that one of the trails that we groom is no longer capable to be being groomed. And by increasing the reliability and increasing the number of kilometers of trails available, it would increase the event reputation and reliability of the system and events. One of the things that's really near and dear to my heart is it would increase the sustainability for volunteers, because right now the ask is a little bit too much. I experienced that we're trying to, I'm an old guy and I feel I'm maybe too old to be grooming the number of kilometers of trails that I'm doing right now with the one piece of equipment. Somebody else coming in with another piece of equipment and cooperating with me on the grooming of the red pine, at least from my little world, would greatly help me and my back along with it. So let's see. Some things that I've already spoken to is that grooming implements are adjustable and so fairly flexible in that respect, so that we can accommodate all the different varieties of trail sizes and widths. The Tinker Dog has a Honda engine, which is a big thing. It's more or less universally accepted as being the most reliable small engine available. It's the Tinker Dog is the trade name of the unit we want to buy. Is very similar to the unit that we currently have called a Snow Dog, but it's designed to accommodate deeper snow more readily, which is of course, when you're sitting here in the Lead Lake Superior, that's an important feature. Sustainability, the cycling club generates sufficient funds through the sale of memberships and trail supporter tags to be able to maintain this equipment once it's purchased. And we've already set aside inside storage space both during the grooming season as well as the off season to keep the machine away from the elements. Okay, one or two more slides, I think. Next slide. So the partnerships for this project would be, of course, first and foremost, Cycling Club, which is proposing 25% co-funding. The Cycling Club itself on this initiative has partnerships through a variety of endeavors with Tourism Sault Ste, of course, but also with Hiawatha Highlands, Kinsman Club, which holds the land use permit for the trail system on the Red Pine. The Sault Ste. Marie Regional Conservation Authority, which is a key landowner on the trails at Hiawatha Highlands, as is the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, and as is the Terrantoris Fish Culture Station. Root River Golf Course is a partner. We have a lateral trail over to their business starting this year to try to encourage commercial partnerships with the fat biking that we have going on. Red Pine Tours is an organization that helps organize events, particularly focused on outdoor recreation and biking in particular. And we have festivals such as Frozen Toe Fat Bike Festival and Global Fat Bike Day. Next slide. So we're looking for essentially $15,400 with $5,000 being co-funded by the Sioux Cycling Club. That would collectively be able to cover the $20,400 purchase cost, which again includes tax and delivery for the 2 Tinger dogs, along with their respective grooming employments. Next slide. And should we get funding, we should be able to measure the results of success through these metrics. Increase in kilometers of groomed fat bike trail available for public use that is maintained by the Sioux Cycling Club. Elimination of periods where a trail is not maintained due to equipment breakdown. Increased volunteer sustainability through diversification of the base of volunteers. Growth of participation in fat bike events from such as Frozen Toe Festival, free beaver freezer and things such as that. And the growth in the fat bike community is evidenced by increase in the numbers of Sioux Cycling Club memberships and Trail Pass supporter tags that are sold. And I think we have one more slide. So we have a proposal in hand from a supplier of Tinger dogs in Quebec. The Tinger dogs are ready to go. Upon approval, we would be in position to place an order for those 2 machines, and we would expect delivery within about 1 to 2 weeks. And I think that's it, is it not?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, very good. If there are any questions, feel free.
I have a couple of just questions / comments. From your presentation, am I understanding that you have the volunteer base, the room, just not the equipment? With the timeframes that you described and stuff like that. Am I understanding that?
Yes, that's the key takeaway. Actually, that's one of the things that I wanted to really focus on is mostly because of our time constraints on any given day. There are only a few select hours of optimal grooming window during which on any given day, most of our volunteers would be available to groom, and during which it would be optimal to groom. You don't want to groom just before a snowfall comes in. So that's it. I mean, we're not really limited by volunteers. The Sioux Cycling Club is a very active club. We put in thousands of hours of volunteer time every year in maintaining the existing mountain bike network and in other endeavors. And it's a young, very dynamic group of people with keen volunteer base. It's refreshing to be a part of that kind of a group. I'm one of the oldest guys involved. Most of the people involved are young, much more capable than I am and much more keen. So
I guess my follow-up question is, because I know this year, I know we've probably had more snow in a short period of time than we had in the past, which affected the availability of some of the trails with the trees and stuff.
yeah.
So is this equipment theoretically help you clear those? Because I know there was some talk about, some trees, you gotta, people cut them or whatever. But so how would this help, say, for example, so that we don't have those downtimes on the trails and available?
Well, the purpose of the equipment, of course, is to pack snow and to make it passable after heavy snowfalls. But when you have obstacles in the way, such as many trees that are coming down, it presents a huge impediment for larger pieces of equipment. So the Ski Club's piston bully, the PB 100, which is about a $500,000 piece of equipment, it's about the size of a bulldozer. It doesn't have a hope of finding its way, of getting around, making a detour around those areas of collapsed red pine trees that occurred this year. With the Tinger dog, it has a footprint of 22 inches wide. It's extremely agile, and we can weave our way through trees without cutting trees. We can weave our way through trees in the forest, find our way around obstacles such as what happened this year. And that's exactly what we did. We, after about a week of sort of route finding and scratching our heads, we did find our way around. And we're well set up now to have a detour around that section of collapsed trees. That's one of the beauties of the track sled design. It's extremely agile. It's extremely in terms of motorized equipment, it's light, 300 pounds. It's heavy for one guy, but you know, in the greater scheme of things, it's light enough to ride up on top of snow and to be maneuverable in a pinch.
So what's the usual lifespan of this type of equipment? So like, I know I buy my snow blower, I know I get some
Yeah.
good years out of this, so to speak.
I would think that it's gonna be similar to a snow blower. I wouldn't think that a snow blower, my snow blower is a lot older than 6 years, but if you maintain the equipment, there are things that have to be maintained on a regular basis. It has a standard continuously variable transmission and it's similar to a snow machine. That requires annual maintenance. It needs oiling on a regular basis. And the motor needs, oil change on a regular basis. I think as long as you maintain it, and the Bicycle Club is pretty good about making sure that its equipment stays well maintained. If we can't do it ourselves, there's a small engine mechanic just north of the city at Dynatype that we take our equipment to. The Tinker Dog in particular, 3 guys can lift it up into the back of a pickup truck and drive it up to Dynatype. And they're very good at maintaining our equipment. We can keep that equipment running almost indefinitely because we look after it.
So with adding the equipment then, like how much in additional operational costs would it add by adding this equipment to you? Like, would it be something that would affect your budget? That's, I guess what I'm getting at.
We've reviewed that. We have ample budget to accommodate the additional equipment. We're not that tight for cash that we wouldn't be able to maintain it. I would say, she'd probably anticipate about, not quite $1,000 a year per piece of equipment to maintain it. That means that on most years you won't be spending nearly that much, but on some years you'll be having to replace the track or something major. But if you budget for about $1,000 per piece of equipment, that pretty much should do it. We certainly don't run the equipment into the ground and then look for new pieces of equipment. I think we're quite good about maintaining those pieces of equipment.
And that being said, this would be in addition to the equipment that you have now, you're still
Yeah.
going to continue to
Exactly,
maintain that.
exactly. Yeah, we have ample resources to maintain those 4 pieces of equipment. And I would add a good sort of a good mindset to do it as well. We're very focused on maintaining the equipment. Yeah, Lawrence.
I was just gonna say, looking at the cycling club numbers going up to 600 people, I mean,
It's really gone up a lot.
It's really
I think it was
gone up a lot.
400 not too long ago. Yeah.
yeah, and when the cross section of people coming in there, there's younger people coming in to these roles that you're providing right now. Like there's I think of the model of the ski club that the athletes become the coaches.
Yeah.
The coaches become the trail maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's the way that this is progressing, and we have a solid volunteer base to keep that progression going and keep the funding going for this. And I really love that you're growing into Root River. I know I'll be using your trail in 2 weeks and bringing 25 people there.
Well, that's great.
And
That's
it's
great.
It's a real good tourism.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea. We're excited about cooperating with them out at Root River Golf Course this year. No, we have a really dynamic young group at the Sault Ste Club. But I used to be on the board of directors at the Sault Ste Ski Club, and I was responsible for. I was the director of trails there, and I used to have a hard time mustering volunteer forces to help me out, fixing a bridge or clearing windfalls on the trails. And most of the time I was out there all alone with a chainsaw working. And eventually, while I was still a member of the ski club, there was a critical piece of bridge that I realized was used by both the cycling club and the ski club. So as an experiment, I made it known to the cycling club, hey, I would like to fix this bridge. If anyone wants to help out, I'll be there Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was shocked, like there are a lot of young eager guys in there waiting around in water, moving rocks around and shoring up the abutments of the bridge. And it was just a different culture. It's a great club, really, from that perspective.
Any other questions or comments? Any of our online participants have questions for Jim?
Just gonna say, it'd be really nice to be able to say that Sault Ste. Marie is the fat bike capital of all the
It would be cool. It would be cool. Yeah.
Okay,
Very good.
well, thanks, Jim.
Thank you
So
very much. I
we'll,
appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you today.
We'll follow up with you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just clarify, is it through the TDF that this application is?
Yes.
General development. So I guess I should have asked, but I'm assuming then that they have the funding to purchase and then. That's okay.
There. Cause there's, I guess some of the trails up there are multi-use, right? There's spheres and stuff. So is there a way to, because they're like. Are there hybrid equipment that can be used on both trails, so to speak, like I don't know.
So the Sufins like have their, you know, as he said, piston gully, just the size of a bulldozer. Sufins or Hiawatha Highlands grooms the crystal system and they use their Tundra skidoo to do that. But these other areas are outside kind of their purview. And that's where you have kind of this fat bike specific because of the tightness of the trails and the specific terrain that you need these. The other trails are snowshoe trails, which are just packed in by snowshoes. But
It's not the same trail, like the ski trail goes this way and the fat bike trail crosses
Yeah.
it, but they're both called the red line because it's a system.
so it's the equivalent of like a road for the ski trails and then like a mountain bike trail. But they're and so
Or
they-
more of a road to a sidewalk.
yeah, precisely with intermittent trees on weird angles that you kind of gotta.
Otherwise,
get
you're
around.
gonna watch, you're not getting the groomer from one isn't getting from the groomer in the other.
Yeah.
There it's.
So we had, just as an aside, like, we're obviously hosting that frozen toe back fat bike race. And the groomer broke down on the red pine. And suddenly that risk, or like, the event is actually at risk. And like, we're at the point where you cannot reasonably expect one person to groom. Like, the entire.
Like,
Like, yeah, and
Turn on Monday and be done by Thursday.
exactly, and then we're at a situation where, like on the presentation, it said the Farmer Lake Trails 13. Well, they bumped it up to 27 on the weekend and they bumped that up grooming wise for the frozen toe. So I'm going out on Wednesday with them to kind of. I used to groom and now I'm gonna have to get back into it, but same thing, like that, we're going out from 5:30 till 9 to groom that. And that's like, we haven't had any snow this week. So you still need to groom it even when you're not getting snow, because you get people that are walking in it, you get, you know, the wear and tear from the ruts. But yeah, the wind, it can take like a solid half a day to groom this stuff, so being able to. Both from the redundancy of having equipment that's guaranteed to be there, but also splitting up the work is huge. And his math was slightly off. We're at like 67 kilometers right now. Once they add the more, like we will 100% be the longest fat bike offering in Ontario, if not Eastern Canada.
And you can't be that and promote that, which is what we all want.
Yeah.
If you can't maintain the trail.
Yeah. Or we could have a situation where the groomer breaks down the night before the race and gets snow and we're like.
Sorry, no.
Yeah, because you can't actually use the skidoo is too wide to do the red line. So you need this specific, they're using the snow dog right now, which is already broken once this year. They need another one, because if we lose that, then you can't that's the start of the race.
Okay, so I guess the question is, like, what's the ambition of having regularly this many kilometers in groomed trails at all time? What's the ambition? What's the goal?
Like 100% of,
Whatever it is.
yeah, so right now. Let's say there's 20 on the red pine. And as of this weekend, 27, so that's 57 right there. 47. That will be groomed, so it will be available at all times. And so they're out, I know the guy that grooms the farmer out Wednesday, went out once already this week, going out Wednesday, he's back out Saturday, possibly Sunday, but that's again without any snow, right? So if it snowed, Monday through Friday, you'd be out there Monday through Friday.
So I guess that's the question. If we're hoping to have 100% of the system groomed, what's required to keep that groomed at all times? So is it, okay, so he buys these two, he's got 4 pieces of equipment, is that going to be adequate? Because he says he has the manpower, is that going to be adequate to keep 100% of the system groomed at all times?
I think that's the expectation at this point. So
What does it look like time wise for riders? Like when you double it and you go from 13 to 27, because I don't that thing. So does it take an hour to do?
no, it takes more than to ride it or to.
Yeah, to ride it.
Yeah, so you're slower on a fat bike.
From a ridership
Would you say 13 kilometers an hour, or depending on the day, 10?
Probably 10 to 7, 7
Yeah.
to 10,
So
depending on the athlete too.
yeah, I'm a bit of a premier athlete.
I'm
But,
just thinking from the ridership perspective, when we talk about the other trails on the mountain bike trails, how much
Yeah.
more it enhanced the ridership of it.
Yeah, so I guess one thing to point out is we'll actually end up having more fat bike trails than we will mountain bike trails because of what you're able to groom. And I think what you'll end up seeing, the goal has always been this 2 to 3 day kind of experience. You'll have that here.
What does Marquette have, Travis?
I think they're close to 100, right? They're about 100
Kilometers?
kilometers. I think they have 100 miles in the summer, but I think they groom 100 kilometers in the winter.
Okay.
And they've been doing that for days. Like when you look at the trajectory, I moved back here in 2018 and went out fat biking probably for my first time around then. I think we had 10 kilometers and it was snowshoe trails at Camp Guitard or St. Guitard. So
Marquette is marketing that they have 60 miles of groomed trail.
yeah, so I think the growth that we've had over the past 6 years has been significant.
So are we finding fat bikes coming into the community from United States?
Yeah, I'm still not, I predominantly still cross-country ski during the winter, but from what I'm hearing, there's quite a bit of people from Michigan coming. And then the obvious expectation, Marquette has a polar roll, and they have about 900 people at that event. So the expectation is that we'll be able to grow our event. And I think what Jim also mentioned is, kind of the consistent snow. Oddly, Marquette has a ski marathon that's slated for this coming weekend, usually gets about 1,000 people. They had to cancel it for the first, one of the first times because they didn't have snow across the entire length of it. So, I think from a marketing real winter with these kind of assets, it sets us apart.
So I guess that's what is to make sure That's our goal, and you know, that's gonna be a big piece of our winter. People to winter activities or winter promotion that we could have, is, you know. Is this gonna take care of their needs? That's gonna help them do that.
I mean, you're doubling the amount of grooming equipment, so I think it's,
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, like, you know, if that's adequate, you know, if you're saying if that's adequate to do that, keep it open all the time and. Constantly groom, then great, yes. I just wouldn't wanna say. Okay, we realize. Needed more, needed something
That's my
different,
concern is that.
needed something different,
Little
you know what I
conservative.
mean?
yeah,
Jim is, I love Jim, he's a very conservative person, he's an engineer. And, you know, the safety factors that he builds in are there. But I think he, you know, the cycling club has done a lot for the community, we've given them lots of trails. I feel that maybe that they're a little afraid to ask. So. But with their contribution in supporting winter events. And just anecdotally speaking, I can see when I pull into the parking lots skiing. I'm up there 4 to 5 minutes a week. I can always see a Michigan vehicle in the parking lot.
Yeah, at Hiawatha, there's always.
And I'm also making the assumption that the ambition is to increase the amount of trails that we have. Generally, because I go, also know the, but it's still to increase the inventory of those.
What is correct? It's free to fat bike?
it is. Free on the Red Pine and Farmer. It's
Okay.
paid at Iowa, at Crystal. I think what happens is most people, especially from most people in general buy a pass because they want to use the Crystal. If you're coming from out of town, the trailhead is Hiawatha Highlands, so they're buying passes.
Right.
But I think the message that they're trying to get across is they're not recouping, you know, revenue from this service. They are through their memberships.
So would they, like I know at Hiawatha, there's restrictions with being able to monetize passes and stuff. Are they're same restrictions on the other trails?
Some.
You're not able to charge for the Red Pine, as I understand it, through the land use agreement.
Yes.
And then Farmer is like they'd have to negotiate some form of an agreement with and the Conservation Authority. But there's no way to actually, like, you have to staff it.
No, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, I mean, to me, it always seemed that could be part of the answer, right? Cause I mean, when you're low on volunteers and you're, you know, trying to operate a free community asset, I mean, it still takes money to be able to do that, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, to have some way to at the very least recoup a portion of the cost, whatever the goal is to recoup. Obviously that puts that pressure on, say, public funds. That they'd be able to say, okay, well, you keep up with this and make it a showstopper type of attraction that, you know, we could have races, we could have people come in to, you know, do that kind of thing where nobody's paying for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by the volunteership, like I know a few of them. What you guys go through there doing this thing, I'm just. Where the motivation comes from to do it, if it's selfish just so they can ride, or if it's out of pride for their own. For their own community, whatever it is, like dealing with a day like today or tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be the same when you're out there, Travis. Like to be out there.
Quick comment and a question. Comment, I think
It's impressive.
money comes back when we have a world-class
Yeah.
venue that we can have events in our community, because then they stay in our community and then we get more mat tax.
Oh, yeah.
So that all pays off.
100%.
Question, could we make a deal with them to pay for it all? They keep their 25%, but it stays in contingency, so that if they did find they needed more equipment, they have that money set aside.
Or to repair the equipment.
Well, they
that
have-
currently-
they
Or
said they have
upgrade,
money.
like, maybe they
They
can
said
just
they have
trade
a
it in
budget to
after,
repair.
if they realize
No,
they
but-
need more, like you was
But
like,
the equipment that they have right now may end up needing
oh,
more
it's
to
true.
bring it to.
Yeah.
He seems to, and you said he's conservative, so I'm gonna assume that they can look after the equipment they have. If we said, what if we pay for it all, but that $5,000 that they were gonna pay, they can't touch that. That is future investment for if you need more equipment.
Could they not use a third one anyway,
Or we just buy them through, whatever.
right?
I think once you're getting into that, then maybe you're looking at a Skidoo.
A Skidoo?
Yeah, because then you're into, like, the big expansion as we continue to build is out Farmer Crystal Lake, and that's like. Speaking with Daryl, he thinks he can get to 40 kilometers out there alone. So then, like, that's. You basically need another Skidoo.
Mhm. And that's what, 20 grand?
We spent.
26.
So Daryl, when he grew for the beaver freezer, they volunteered, I donated to the second level for that. But he added 30 kilometers, 30 kilometers of new trail on the lakes.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty big significant draw for people that were coming back after to ride that trail.
Well, and it's that catch-22 spot, right? If we can't guarantee the consistency, we're not marketing it and. You know, we've got to get to a point where we can.
I think like Kevin's idea, we don't have to overcommit at this point, but at least. There's a contingency fund for
Yeah.
them if they need an additional piece of equipment.
So was there's 5 even, so we put it at 20,400?
And where are we with our marketing efforts as far as Virgin goes to be talking about this, to be angling us as the fat bike capital one?
We are, and
Yeah.
it's in our marketing.
We're
We're
working
starting to
on
roll it out now.
New article right now,
I
so.
mean, it was the selling point to bridge, to all that stuff was to give us, so we can actually see it and meet it.
And show it.
And now deliver on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And our trails are, I would say, unique, because we've incorporated all these cool like berms, drops, all this kind of stuff. A lot of the other fat bike trails in Ontario are like walking paths,
Yeah, I see.
you know, so. I think-
Railroad tracks.
Yeah, so I think we've got, not only the longest, but some of the most, definitely the most fun and diverse.
More so than, like, in Ontario, or like the Marquette ones are comparable to?
Marquette is comparable,
Yeah.
and Marquette is like the
The gold standard.
premier
Yeah.
gold star,
Yeah.
so I think we're like hot on their heels.
Nice.
On the hub trail, are fat bikes allowed in the wintertime?
Technically, the hub trail is closed, there's a bylaw closing it for the winter. But as you're aware, there's lots of people walking on it and utilizing it on a regular basis. Plus, they built that 2 kilometer flow trail right off of Thin Hill, and that's being packed as well. So
Okay.
That's
yeah,
So absolutely, kind
Yeah,
of
that's not
but
even the route.
similar topic.
That's just
yeah,
8
Has,
kilometers.
yeah.
Ontario Hydro decided which route they're gonna build.
Just talk about that.
I spoke with them last week. And they're still undergoing a technical review. But I think, you know, they've heard loud and clear from the community. You know, I think it's really important that the community continues to give feedback as they go through that environmental assessment process. But they certainly recognize the community's sentiment regarding Hiawatha Islands and that particular road.
Okay, I will adjust the resolution unless there is any other concerns to the full 20,400. And any concerns from those joining us online, Jeff, Richard, Tracy? To moving it to the 20,400.
What are you gonna put the caveat that $5,000 that we're gonna save is to be kept? Escrow for future investment or?
Yeah, I think
Something
that's
to that
within the
effect.
means of the,
We can work that into the agreement. Cause it'll be through the city. That would do the TDF agreement.
Yeah, even if they keep it in escrow and then 5 years from now, it's expanded even more and they're coming back to the table.
They
They've
have that.
got $5,000 plus interest to be able to.
Yeah, okay, I think the easiest, most effective route would be to build it into their agreement.
okay,
So just leave the resolution.
Do the resolution as the total, and
Yeah.
then in the agreement, what we do is we outline what you can and can't spend the money on.
okay.
Yeah.
So within there, we'll just put a
That would
line.
be the caveat with
Yeah.
the agreement, okay?
Over 25% is to remain.
That's right.
For future expansion and
Yep.
contingencies.
Okay. So onto the resolution and Tara, it seems the agenda only has two of them on there, but there is a third resolution that I have here. With
For
regards
steel.
to the steel speed.
That on my note at the very beginning to remind you to have that take them down.
So we'll move that to item C, Tara, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Okay, so the first resolution was the amendment for the NOHFC funding that we discussed. So the resolution reads as follows: be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors authorize an application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Cultural Supports Program Community Streams for the project titled Hiawatha Highlands Connector and Wishart Park Enhancement Project. Further be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie assume responsibility for cost overruns related to this project. And we are asking that it be amended to be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors authorize an application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation Enhance Your Community Program for the project titled Hiawatha Highlands Connector and Wishart Park Enhancement Project in the amount of $900,000. Further be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie assume responsibility for cost overruns related to this project. Do I have a mover? Kevin, and a seconder, Lawrence. And I'll call for a vote on that. All in favor? And that one carries. The second one is in regards to the Cycling Club Grooming Project, and that resolution now reads: be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors recommend a contribution of $20,400 through the Tourism Development Fund Project Development Stream to support the Sault Cycling Club purchase of 2 Tinder Dogs winter fat bike groomers, and a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this one? Don and Lawrence as a seconder. All in favor? And that one carries. So the third one that we just added was with regards to the contract. Be it resolved that the Board of Tourism Sault Ste. Marie authorize the chair of the board to enter into contractual agreement with Steel Speed Contract 2025-01 for the sum not to exceed $571,150 plus HST for the installation of the Wishart Bridge. Do I have a mover for this one? Kevin and Nick as a seconder. And all in favor? And that one carries. Okay, that covers our agenda today. The next meeting is the 3rd February.
February 11th.
Thank-
I think that's what Sarah
February
said.
11th.
That's early.
It's quite.
Sarah?
It's February 11th because it's a long weekend for Family Day on the following week, so we moved it up.
Or we can move it back.
I'm not here.
Where does?
Normally we move it
Can
back.
we maybe look at that because we're.
We'll look at it.
For the,
So this will go to council on the 3rd. So
Okay.
the council reports for all the TDFs are due tomorrow. So this one will make it to council on the next meeting.
No, I was with regards to the board extension.
That'll probably go to council on the 3rd.
Yeah.
Would be like, yeah.
Okay, so we'll see what happens. We'll just put a TBD on the next meeting for right now, potentially the 11th or later in February. Do I have someone to move to adjourn? Nick, Melissa? And we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.